Hello, hello, hello, and welcome to episode 7 of Deadball Specialists, the home of dead football opinions. With me this week, as always, I have my good friend, the Indian Jesus, the legend himself, the King, Kunal. But we also have a very, very, very special guest, my friend from Germany. Glad he could make it. Real pleasure to have him on, Holger Hussmann. So we're going to go on to, obviously, we're going to talk about the weekend's results. Huge weekend in Premier League football. Really looking forward to sinking my teeth into that with the guys. But the topic of this podcast, or the title even, is the Wir sind Podcaster, which translates to, Holger, correct me if I'm wrong, we are podcasters. I mean, it's Ich bin ein Berliner for all you JFK fans. So the second half of the podcast, we're going to talk about the top 5 players to kind of move from the Bundesliga to the Premier League. So it is not about, the best kind of Bundesliga player to move from Spain or Italy down to the Premier League. It has to be a direct transfer from the Bundesliga to the Premier League. And there's no kind of time frame on that. So we have our list. We're going to be picking our top 5. Really looking forward to kind of discussing that with the guys. And yeah, that is the episode for this week. So, Kunal, could you take it away, please? And let's hear about the weekend's fixtures.
Yeah, sure. Just before we get into that, though, let's have a little introduction from Holger. Holger, say hello to our podcasting fans.
Well, thank you very much for having me on. First and foremost, it's an absolute pleasure. Yeah, I mean, I'm Holger, as Ahmed mentioned. I originally from Germany, but I had the pleasure of working with. Well, I wouldn't say pleasure, but I did work with Kunal for 6.5 years, and still working with Ahmed. So that's how we know each other. And yeah, when I heard about the podcast, I suggested to Ahmed that'd be good to have me on, because obviously I can bring a bit of insight into German football. Well, let's hope so. Anyway, yeah, about myself, I am a Hamburg supporter, and I have been for pretty much all my life. Little fun fact: I wasn't actually a Hamburg supporter when I was little. I supported Karlsruhe, which are now a Division 2 team, and I supported them back in the day because they had players such as Oliver Kahn and Thomas Hassler.
Who's Yuri Djorkaeff as well? Did he not play for Karlsruhe?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
I might be wrong though. I don't know, but yeah, I supported them basically until they got relegated, and then my dad said, "Why don't you support Hamburg?"
Just jump ship quickly. Why not?
To be fair, I was like 6 or 7, so it was early on in my football.
I don't blame you. It's okay.
Career.
It's allowed. It's allowed.
Yeah, but for the listeners and viewers that don't know the Hamburg kit, this is one that this is the
Fly. Oh shit! Fly Emirates.
Yeah. We don't have them as a sponsor anymore, because we've been in Division 2 for almost 4 years now. But yeah.
Are you in the promotion race this year?
We are second at the moment, but the
Bundesliga is weird. Like, I think it was as like a playoff, right? So it's not necessarily the champions ultimate or the top 3 kind of go up in the same way that, or the top 2, sorry, go up in the same way they do in the championship in this country. I believe there's like a playoff, and obviously with the Bundesliga, the last place team within the relegation spots has like a playoff against a top place team in Bundesliga 2. So is that still the case?
Yeah, so basically the top 2 in Division 2 go up right away, and then whoever finishes third in Division 2 plays whoever finishes 16th in the Bundesliga. And obviously in the Bundesliga it's only 18 teams, not 20, such is the case with the Prem. So it's it's 2 legs, home and away, and whoever wins that either goes up or stays down. But it wasn't always the case. I think that was the system years and years ago, and then they reverted back to the top 3 going up right away. But then for some reason they decided to go back to the system, which is quite exciting. But yeah, it's very frustrating for the team whoever finishes third in Division 2 and then doesn't actually get promoted, even though they had such a good season.
I agree with you there. So just before we kind of get into it, just a very, very quick story. So I used to work hospitality at the Emirates Stadium around 2006 and 2007, and we played Hamburg at home. Now away we won. Thomas Rosicky, thunderbolt, wonderful goal from him. But on the home legs, I worked that game, by the way, and it was so weird. Stefan Effenberg came up to me and asked for a pot of coffee. I'm sure I've told you this before. Stefan Effenberg. He literally came up to me and said, "I am Stefan Effenberg. I would like a pot of coffee." And I was like, firstly, I know who the hell you are. That's number one. Secondly, what the hell? Stefan Effenberg is in front of me and he's asking for a pot of coffee. I couldn't believe it. It was just like surreal, really surreal.
Well,
Yeah, that is weird because he hasn't got any affiliation with Hamburg, really.
He was in the, so I used to at the kind of executive kind of area. So he was in some kind of executive box. So must have been invited by some rich person or maybe even Hamburg themselves. But he was milling about and just literally came up to me to ask me for a pot of coffee. I couldn't believe it.
right, well, what a lovely story, Ahmed. So let's just let's tack into the weekend's results, mate.
Yes,
we're gonna start off with Spurs United. I think that's one of the really, really big ones to tuck into straight away. And for me, United were more aggressive from the off. I mean, you on the last episode called Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a PE teacher. Now, let me just say this: for a PE teacher, he's doing pretty damn well because they look like the Man United of old in the sense of they always look like they're going to score a goal. Whereas I've not seen a Man United team since Fergie really have that same quality within the team. Since Van Gaal didn't really have that, Mourinho didn't have that, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer somehow bringing that out of them. VAR again all weekend was absolutely shocking, and I think that foul on Heung-min Son was never a foul, by the way. I think it was pure luck that they got away with one. And Spurs goal was massively against the run of play in my eyes. I think Man United dominated their game start to finish. It was a really, really good football for the first one. Cavani looking still as dangerous as he ever was for a 34, 35-year-old player. I think Man United are going to have a bit of a challenge to keep hold of him next year because he's quite keen to leave. And I think, how do you replace some
going to Boca?
Boca,
Argentina, yeah. So
my question is this: how does a club like that do with that player like that? Because even if he gets you 10 goals, he's so dangerous. It's hard to replace a player like that.
You can't afford to lose a player like that.
No, I don't think so. So it was a classic Cavani goal as well. I mean, I want to know how you guys saw the game, but for me, United look solid, and I think they've got a really, really good foundation to build on for next year now.
Agreed. Yeah, Holger, what do you think, mate?
You know what? I had a conversation with one of my mates earlier, and he's a United supporter, and in his opinion, and I completely agree with him, was in my opinion, after maybe the City game, this was the strongest performance from United all season. They just looked strong and dangerous throughout the whole game. And I was just really, really impressed. Obviously, Tottenham has been struggling for quite some time now, but still, I think it's very, very tough to win at Tottenham's ground. So fair play to them.
Yeah, I honestly couldn't agree with you more. Look, I know Tottenham have had their struggles, and they've not been playing very well, and things have been tough for them. But honestly, if you're coming up against Son and Kane and Højbjerg and Ndombele and all these great players, you're in for a game. However, for me, that is the best United performance that I've seen in a long, long time. They were impervious. They were great on the ball, deserved to be ahead. Shocking VAR decision. Not the first one of the weekend, by the way. We'll come on to that. But if they hadn't won that game, that would have been a travesty. And I think I need to eat my words because last week I called Ollie a Norwegian PE teacher.
You did.
I did. And in reality, I mean, to be honest, Mikel Arteta, if Ollie is a PE teacher, then Mikel Arteta is the PE teacher's assistant. Ollie is out here. He's doing very well. He's the best of the rest, and we need to give him some respect. I know a lot of United fans like Holger, and they want him out, and they've always wanted him out. but at some point you need to stand up and give the man his credit because he did very, very well. Pogba was fantastic today. Cavani, by the way, you know how I feel about Cavani. For me, he's the best striker I've ever seen when it comes to movement. Not the best goal scorer. When it comes to movement in and around the box, nobody moves as well as he does.
Van Nistelrooy. Don't forget about Van Nistelrooy. Van Nistelrooy was a top in the box. His movement.
No, he's better than Van Nistelrooy. I would say the only person that kind of come close to him is maybe Suarez. Suarez in his pomp had great movement too, but for me, Cavani's movement, honestly, the way he kind of dodges a marker, gets on the end of things. He doesn't always score. I mean, his finishing is terrible.
That's what I was going to say. This is the thing. I agree with you. That I'm glad that you said movement and not overall finishing because he misses so many chances. For a player that is in such fantastic positions, he misses so much.
He should be on like Messi numbers right now. If we're talking about, if we're equating his movement to his, actual goal return, he should be on Messi numbers, but he's not. His finishing is not good enough for a player of his quality. However, him getting into that position, him getting into, into those pockets. In the Premier League, Suarez and maybe Andy Cole, for me, is up there with him.
What I will say is, I want to touch upon is both you and Holger made the point about Spurs' troubles right now. And I think it's been well documented on our podcast alone that what we think of Spurs and Mourinho, I think that was effectively the end of their top four charge today. I think that they're good enough to win a couple of games against, the mid-table teams and slightly below them. But I think any big games left, they're not going to win those. I think they'll lose in the final. I think Mourinho is just, I think he's taking it to where he needs to take it now. I think he will be like that for another year and then they'll get rid of him.
You know what? Any other season, I will probably disagree with you, but I think this season I do have to agree with you because given how well West Ham, Leicester, United, all of them have been playing, it's for the Spurs to make top four now, I also think it's impossible, especially given the form that they're in at the moment.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, let's move on to the next game, which I wanted to tack into, which is, again, massive for that top four race, which is West Ham, Leicester. Now, as that game ended, West Ham are sitting in fourth. They're not going anywhere, right? Which is the thing for me. I think everyone thought they'd drop off by now, but they're really not going anywhere. I mean, like I said, it was a massive game for that top four race. And I think both teams started quite brightly. I think it was quite an enjoyable, open game, as you'd expect from those teams. Jay Lings doing bits, mate. Get him on the plane. You might as well get this guy on the plane now because he scored, 7 or 8 goals in the last 6 or 7 games.
No way.
His stats are fantastic.
Yes.
The thing I'll say is, in this game, I thought West Ham would struggle because no Antonio, no Declan Rice. Right? I know Leicester were missing Barnes, Maddison, and Perez as well. So they're both missing really 2 or 3 of their elite players in their team. And it was a classy finish from Iheanacho. And I think it was just a little bit too late from Leicester overall, as it was 3-2 to West Ham. But I think West Ham are going to be fighting until the last moment for this. And I think, like I said, the top four will be, in my eyes, Man City, Man United, Leicester, and Chelsea. But I don't think West Ham are going anywhere.
I'll give you a prediction. So I love Leicester, like as a city and as a club too. Been going there for a long time. Loads of Leicester fans, and I'll say this: I'm going to put my neck on the line. They're going to fall out the top four. They're going to shit the bed like they did last season. Last season, they were right in it, and they just kind of fell out of the top four. And every kind of Leicester fan I speak to at the moment, they say the same thing. There's just something about them when they get to that point of the season, the crunch time, as Fergie called it. What did he call it? Squeaky bum time?
Squeaky bum time.
Squeaky bum time. I think
there's only 7 games left, remember? There's only 7 games left.
Exactly. And for me, I think Liverpool will make the top four. Regarding this game, I'm so impressed by West Ham. I think they're a proper good outfit. They're missing someone as integral to their squad as Declan Rice and Antonio, and they still won. They were 3-0 up. With not much of the game to go. I think West Ham will get Europa League this season, 5th or 6th. But I do feel that Liverpool will get 4th. I just feel they have the experience, they have that winning mentality. I think Liverpool will get 4th.
Holger, let's wait. I want to hear your top 4 predictions, but also your thoughts on the game. So hit us with both.
I mean, funny enough, when it was 3-0, I was thinking about the Arsenal game because I was worried that it's going to be the same case. But I mean, they got close to it, but it wasn't the same case. But yeah, first and foremost, Lingard, I completely agree with you, Kunal. Like, he's been incredible. I think if West Ham has got the chance to keep a hold of him, that would be a great win for them. But given how well he's playing now, I'm not sure if that's going to be possible. But I was thinking about West Ham earlier when I was watching the game, and to bring it back to my relation to the Bundesliga, we've got a similar case in the Bundesliga at the moment with Frankfurt, who are, normally always a mid league. They always like finish 9th, 8th, or 10th, and out of nowhere they're having an incredible season. They're currently also 4th in the Bundesliga, and for some reason, I just think there's a link there that no one expected West Ham to do this well, and also to be so consistent. Yes, they can have a good phase over a few games, but I think they've been playing really, really good football throughout the whole season, and they thoroughly deserve where they are at the moment. In terms of my top 4 predictions, obviously, City, United. I think Chelsea is definitely going to be in there, even though they had a little struggle here and there. But I think that overall, ever since they changed their manager, they've been playing brilliant football. And I think West Ham is going to make it. That's my top 4 prediction.
Interesting. You think West Ham are going to squeeze in there?
Yeah, I think they're going to somehow squeeze in there. I mean, to be honest, probably should have checked the remaining games that they're going to have. Obviously, if they've got big games ahead, then it might be different. But I think even when they played big teams in the league, they've been performing very well. So I don't see why they would fall off. And like you said, it's only a few games left. So yeah, we'll see.
Interesting. Let's move on to the City Leeds game. So perhaps maybe the biggest shock of the weekend was this one. So I'll say this: 15 minutes in, Bamford had basically a tap-in, and when he missed that chance, I did think, "Oh, what have you done here? You've really, really, you could be in for a dangerous day here." But it seemed that wasn't the case. Cancelo was incredible again. This guy for me is insanely good as a footballer, and I think he's a really, really unspoken gem in that team. I know we focus on about how much he's moving forward into midfield now, but he does a lot in that position, and I think doesn't get spoken about enough. He's very, very technical on the ball. He's good. He makes a good pass, and
he is. But I didn't think he was great for that game.
I think for me personally, I think
he was a fault for one of the goals, if I quite remember. But it was a fault for one of the goals.
Yeah, fair enough. I think he's still unspoken. I think he was involved in their first goal as well at the same time. I think it was a really, really nice open first half. And really, it was just unexpected. Leeds was great on the counter, and they just did that all game. They soaked up a lot of pressure from Man City, and Man City were really dominating the ball, dominating the chances. As soon as Leeds got their man sent off, it was going one way. But they held tight, and they managed to put out a result. I was impressed. I will say that. I didn't think it was happening, but good on Leeds.
I agree. Holger, what do you think, mate? Did you watch the game? What are your thoughts?
I didn't watch the entire game. I watched the highlights, and I think it's incredible that firstly that they won with 10 men away at City. I don't think many teams have done that. Obviously City's been playing in the Champions League, but I think similar, maybe, I don't know if you can compare it really, but once again, I think Leeds has also been really impressive throughout the season. Yes, they've had a little phase now where they haven't been performing as well as at the beginning of the season, but I think for a team with little budget and coming up from the Championship, that's impressive. Yeah, I mean, I was very pleased that they won because I've also got Dallas in my fantasy team. So I was very, very happy when we banged in the goal in the 91st minute. But Yeah, it's a shame that the title race isn't as close. It would have been much more impressive and a big of an upset if the title race was close. But yeah, no, fair play to them, winning away at City. Great result.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think obviously the title race in this country is, dusted. Obviously, I think La Liga, the Bundesliga title race is really, really tight. But so much credit to Leeds, but I think more credit to Bielsa. This is Bielsa's victory. They had such little possession, they rarely attacked. They were under the cosh for a lot of it. And we don't really talk about Leeds as a defensive side and how good they are defending. I thought they were brilliant. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. And for me, they deserved to win that game. They were just brilliant. I mean, City were doing their whole thing, the whole tiki-taka, Pep Guardiola, copyright style of football. But I think Leeds were much more penetrative, and I'm so happy for them. I really am. By the way, to come up from the Championship and then to go to the champions elect in the Premier League, the next league up, and to win their 2-1, huge achievement.
And sorry, just to add to that, in preparation for this, I had a look at the stats of the game, and they only had 26% possession throughout the whole game and 2 shots on target.
Wow.
And they won 2-1. So that,
they scored with both shots on target.
Yeah, basically
26% possession. That's brilliant.
It's amazing. Yeah?
Nice.
That is, but that's what you can do with good organisation. That exactly. Shows what you can do. Okay, well, let's look at the other side of the table. So now that race to survive, really. Now, I said for a while that Newcastle staying up and Fulham going down. I know you've always felt it's going to be the reversal. Another weekend, a massive swing in the favour of Newcastle. Beating Burnley 2-1 was a humongous result.
Huge result.
Going 1-0 down to Burnley in the first instance and then clawing that back, really, really impressive. That shows a lot of heart from Newcastle, I will say that. And also, we're going to come into the Fulham game later, but with Fulham losing, it widens that gap to now 6 points, and they still have a game in hand. So I think it's just I thought last week it was too much for Fulham, but now it just feels insurmountable for Fulham. I think the spirit from Newcastle for me was the telling thing. And I said it, like I said it before, say it again. Fulham down, Newcastle safe. How did you see it, Ahmed?
Yeah, honestly, when Burnley went 1-0 up, I thought it was undeserved, but I thought if Burnley could get that win, I think Fulham are in with a great chance. I backed Fulham to stay up, but we can't deny it now. Newcastle will stay up. I think they have Almiron. So when I made that prediction, Saint-Maximin and Almiron were out for like an undisclosed kind of level.
Yes.
So exactly. So for me, they won't make Newcastle tick. Not anybody else. It's those guys. So I think it's Almiron on the right and Saint-Maximin on the left. They are really, really good players, and I would kill for any one of them to be in our side. They would add so much. So Newcastle are lucky. I don't think Fulham have anyone like that in their squad. They deserve the win. Going to Burnley and getting a win is not easy. And looking at that result and Fulham losing to Wolves, for me, Newcastle are staying up and Fulham are going to go down.
How about you, Holger? How did you see things?
Yeah, I mean, something to note as well is that that Newcastle has got a game in hand, and I think they're currently 6 points ahead of Fulham. So if they win that, 9 points with 6 games to go, that's pretty much impossible for them to get there. I think the biggest upset of the game was the VAR decision. That I simply don't understand how that was not a penalty. I just can't get over it.
That. Thank you.
I mean, he basically kicked him in the head. Yeah, you can't describe it any other way.
Yeah, you really can't.
First I was worried that they're not even going to check it because he obviously didn't give it right away. But then, I just don't see what the point of VAR is if, when you look at that and you don't go, yeah, well, he basically kicked him in the head, but that's not that. I just don't.
He literally booted him in the face.
Yeah.
in the box, and if that had been anywhere else on the pitch, it would have been a free kick and a yellow card.
Yeah.
But why is it not a penalty? Like,
I mean,
come on.
it wasn't intentional. You can see it when you watch.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't
But still, your foot shouldn't be that high in the pen area,
Fine.
and he doesn't see him. But
is
still,
it like waist height? Like if your boot is above waist height, then
it's dangerous play. Anything above a certain height.
Exactly. I think
but I think with VAR showing us this weekend that it's made shocking decisions. Like when you're level with someone who's calling you offside, I think it just shows that their excuses for all these decisions as well are shocking. Like really poor. So Holger, you made a really good point in that, saying how can you not see that as a penalty? I just think they're just dictating what they want to dictate. I don't think they really care about the laws of the game as such. I think for them it's if we saw it like that, we saw it like that.
In the same way that McTominay's kind of palm off on Son, you disallowed a goal for that? Really? Listen, I'm no lover of United, but that is a shocking decision. If I was the United fan, I'd be fuming, and I'm so glad they won. Because imagine they hadn't won and they'd been robbed of a victory because of that. That was no good whatsoever. Listen, the Premier League is the best league in the world, but with the worst officials.
I think that's actually a very, very great shout. I don't disagree with you in the slightest there. Let's move on to the next big one, which is my favourite game to look at, of course, Liverpool Villa. 2-1 to the Liverpool, up with Liverpool. First off, I'm glad Mane was dropped. I've been saying it for weeks. I think he's the guy that has to go from the club. He's dropped off a cliff. Even Klopp has finally started to admit it that he's dropping really, really poorly. But we were pressing early and taking shots from the off. It was good to see. I thought we actually controlled that game quite well. The first half, all of us, we didn't create loads of chances, but we dominated. I also think I want to say this, and I don't think we really highlighted it too much, is Alisson's form has been really poor. And I think we talk about Van Dijk not being there, Gomez not being there, and the spine being missing, and Klopp making. But really, unfortunately, I hate to say it, Klopp's made a lot of mistakes this season with his choices, with the team that he's put out. And it hurts me to say that because I'm his biggest fan. But I do think he has made a lot of mistakes this year. For us, it was a deserved equaliser. It was never offside as well for that first one. And Villa had moments throughout, but I just think Trent scored a worldie. Good to show Gareth Southgate as well looked like a sour little prick, mate, when that went in. Can I just say he looked so miserable when he went in because he just thought, "Oh shit, I've just been proved that I'm an idiot." Basically, so it was nice to see his sour face when Trent scored that worldie. I was very, very happy. So, Holger, I'll let you jump into that first, mate. How did you see that game?
Well, firstly, I was very happy for Trent because I think he's been under scrutiny for the last 4 weeks or so. He's to be fair, he's similar to your suggestion that Klopp has made a lot of mistakes. I think Trent has not been on the top of his game in the last few weeks. I mean, good examples are his performance in the Champions League this week. I think he was dreadful. And I think it's tough for a player that young when you have a bad face and you've been praised so much before. And then, I mean, I've never played in the Premier League, but I can imagine that it's a lot of pressure that, especially at that age, when you're not performing. So I was very, very pleased for him to score that goal and for Liverpool to win as well, because other than Arsenal, who I've got an affiliation with, especially through Ahmed. I've always liked Liverpool. I mean, naturally because of the Klopp relationship, but I don't know. Liverpool, it's a funny one this season. I think similar to Trent. I think the pressure of them performing so well last season might have gotten to them. But then you mentioned that Klopp might have made a lot of mistakes, and to a certain extent, I agree to that. Once again, the injuries didn't help, but it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to do for the remainder of the season.
I think for me, that's the wider point there for me anyway. It's just that I think it's been the culmination of quite a few things rather than just the one thing of it's just the injuries or just that. It's just been a multitude of things I think that have added up to Liverpool having such a poor season, and the fact they've had no rest. I think his method is so intense that if they probably need their rest more than any other teams, I think, in a lot of ways. And the fact they didn't get a rest this year, I think, just really went against them compared to other teams in the league.
Yeah, and I think something that you always have to take into consideration as well is when you play the Champions League and you make it to the final, if you add up all of those games to the 38 Premier League games as well, like the players don't get that much rest, especially this summer with the Euros coming up. They're going to be absolutely knackered by the end of the summer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ahmed?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I think Holger made a great point about Trent. The kid is 22 years old, and we can already see he's a generational talent. I've always said to you, right, from when he broke into the first team, this kid is amazing. He is amazing. Is he, the Paolo Maldini of fullbacks? No, he isn't. But he's the first right back I've ever seen to run a game from that position. I'm going to Leicester away. What is it, 2019? Just before the pandemic. A couple of assists, a goal. He was brilliant. He is fantastic, and I love him to bits, and I think he's a wonderful, wonderful player. I have an affinity to the city of Liverpool. I've lived there, so Liverpool Football Club, Everton, I have a lot of goodwill towards them, and the fact that Gareth Southgate, who is an actual PE teacher, less than that, by the way, he's a what is he, Sunday League coach? Like honestly, he's just he wouldn't know talent if it smashed him in the face. He has no idea. So if he drops Trent from the Euro squad, he deserves hanging, in my opinion. How, like, come on. I'm so glad, by the way, because I think, and for me, the big thing was, like, I think Gary Neville on Monday Night Football during his analysis, he basically said that Trent is washed, Trent is finished, he wouldn't even pick him in the squad, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking, we've had to put, but this is Gary Neville, by the way. As a former England fan, we've had to put up with your mediocrity at right back for 12 years straight. Think about it. Your mediocrity as right back, we had to put up with that. If we had a Trent back in 2006, we would have won the World Cup.
Ooh, that's a bold claim, but
I disagree with that.
That's probably the first dead opinion of this show. But it's nice, Ahmed. You're keeping the tradition of adding one weekly for us, so it's great.
We're called Deadball specialists, mate. So
I know. You are the only dead man.
Holger, who was the German right back at the World Cup in 2006? So I know you guys had Mertesacker and
Philip Lahm, wasn't it?
Was it
he's left back.
Oh, he's left back.
Oh, he's left back. So who was the right back? Was it Arne Friedrich?
He might have been. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Anyway, whoever's the right back during the semi-final was at fault for Del Piero's goal. That guy was like way upfield. So
right, we digress. Palace Chelsea. So Chelsea continue on the same vein of just winning games under Tuchel. Very, very comfortable game for Chelsea, I thought, throughout. Dominated the ball, creating a lot of good chances. Money, Mason Mount doing bits. Now we hype him up every week, so I'm not going to say too much about him. I know you wanted to say a few bits. Kai Havertz actually looked good for the first time since I've seen him come to the Prem. And he really, for me, is an unbelievable player, but he's not shown it yet. And naturally, new league, young player is going to take a bit of time. So I don't put too much stock on that just yet. Also, getting used to two different managers' methods in the season as a new player, it's a hard call. So I think for him, he's got a lot of reasons to not be firing. Timo Werner, a bit less so. He's been a bit less longer, and I think he should be doing a bit better. But perhaps I'm just being, a slightly bitter Liverpool fan, and because I'm happy he's not doing well because we didn't get to buy him.
I mean, you guys almost bought him, did you not?
We did, yeah, but we couldn't afford him.
You guys dodged it.
But it sounds like it. But anyway, you jump into that game, Ahmed, for us. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I thought Chelsea were impervious. I mean, obviously, the last Premier League game, they lost to West Brom 5-2. Absolutely nobody saw that coming. Really impressed with West Brom. I thought they were awful. They won their Champions League game in the week. my guy Money Mace was on the ball again. And he kind of showed that here again. I know Pulisic got a couple of goals, and yeah, he's all right, he's good and whatnot. But for me, Mason Mount, Money Mace, he he is on his way to be one of the best players that club has ever had, and one of the best players to play for England. He's really on his way. Listen, I'm not saying he's going to do it. I'm not saying he's going to reach there, but he's on his way. I see something there. I see potential, and someone like that should be protected at all costs, and a truly skillful player, and you know me, I'm a big fan of like young English flair players, so I'm willing more the best. And do you know what makes me sick? Chelsea fans at the beginning of the season were like, I mean, I know them, unfortunately. I know a few Chelsea fans. So they were kind of rubbishing him and saying that he's not good enough. Go back to Derby. He belongs in the Championship. And I'm like, I would bite your hand off for a player like Mason Mount.
Yeah, I mean, I rate him. Holger, what were your thoughts on that game?
I agree with you in regard to Mount. I think he's a very bright, a very talented player. But I think what you just said, that he's going to be so special. Once again, I think if a lot of people do that and he gets a hold of that just puts so much pressure on the lad. And naturally, when you see someone that young as an English, player that might be basically the star player in the English squad, I think it's dangerous to do that. But he's been brilliant. He played so well in the Champions League this week. I was very impressed with him. But I was most impressed or happy for Havertz to come back to your point, Kunal, earlier. It's not just that he moved to a new league. It's the Prem. Coming back to what you said earlier, Ahmed, it's the best league in the world. And in my opinion, having followed German football throughout my entire life, it's such a different game. The Prem, like when you compare a Bundesliga game to the Prem, the Prem is basically twice as fast. Like it's incredible how different it is, and to see Havertz finally, getting into his Leverkusen sort of swag, it's really, really good, especially because he's one of our biggest hopes for the German squad. With Werner, he's been a real disappointment. I don't know what's happened to him. It's once again, it might be the pressure and also it just adjusting to a different league. But yeah, be interesting to see what's going to happen. But in all honesty, ever since Tuchel took over, it's incredible how they changed from night to day. Basically, they look like a completely different squad, and I think they're going to be a real danger next season.
Well, there's 2 points on that. I think I'll say just quickly, Holger. One is that Tuchel's a proper manager, unlike Lampard. So that's the big thing there. And the second thing is, luckily, I don't think Mason Mount watches our podcast, so there's no additional pressure from Ahmed.
You never know.
Money Mace is best friends with Chunks.
Yeah.
You guys, Chunks?
Yeah, you're double. Yeah.
Yeah. You absolute prick.
No, but I didn't mean that Mount is going to be. He's not going to feel a lot of pressure because Ahmed really rates him. I'm just saying that.
No, I know. Your point.
For example, I saw on Twitter the other day that Gary Lineker was saying Mount, he's going to be the greatest, and I think that just puts a lot of pressure on him.
I'll say something. Chunks is from the same tribe as I am.
I know.
We both represent the North.
Yeah.
Okay, Somaliland. It's in our blood. Just saying, I'd love to be his Billy double, but I would his bank account double.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would not complain about that.
Right.
Counts with me.
Come on, poor man's trunk. Let's move on to the next game. The Arsenal game's still going on, so we'll jump on that last. But the Fulham Wolves game. So 1-0 Wolves.
Really sorry to interrupt, but it's just Arsenal just scored a 2-0. as a matter of fact.
So
Come on.
great, brilliant. Okay, well, we'll tuck into that shortly because
Come
again,
on.
I saw the first half, but as we say, as we're recording this, the second half is going on right now. The Fulham Wolves game. So Fulham started to kick on from about 30 minutes on. I thought, when Neto come off injured, I thought it was going to go into Fulham's favour that game. But again, it was never offside in the goal. Like VAR was terrible decision once again. Traore, I slammed him all the time, and I will continue to slam this guy. I will continue to slam this guy. He's not scored a goal in 16 months, right? That's the first thing. 16 months is a bloody long time for an attacking player in a good Wolves team. It's a very, very long time to not have a goal. But what a way to end that drought, because that was just absolute worldie, that strike. But again, I just think he's too much of a letdown. And I've got no time for the guy. And it really frustrates me because I think he's got so much potential. He scored that goal. But 16 months prior to that, he hadn't scored a goal, and that's not acceptable to me.
I agree with you. I think his end product could be better, but I think Traore is a really good talent, and I think a really good manager will get out of him. You know, if he moves to a better side, think about it. They've had their best goal scorer. They've had their number 9, their leader, their best player who's been out for months. And I would say give him a break. I think when Jimenez comes back and he's back in form, I would say, yes, judge him then.
How long has Jimenez been injured for?
I don't know, like 7 months.
So right. So what happened to the other year before that tour? Traore was playing with him and not scoring goals.
Oh, he scored the winner against City. He
not scored a goal in 16 months. That's it. Simple as that.
That goal against City, when was that? That was less than a year ago, wasn't it?
That's
okay, but he's assisted, and
his stats are straight to his stats for score. He scored like 9 goals in 200 games and about 7 assists. His end product is absolutely diabolical.
Maybe, but I think his general build-up play is quite good, though. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say he's Messi or Ronaldo. I'm not going to say that, but I don't know. I think you're being a little bit harsh on his end product. He's done well for that team.
Well, I see. Go on, Holger. What are you going to say?
I've got an opinion about him. Other than that, he uses a lot of baby oil. I'm
glad you mentioned that. We mentioned that before. It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing.
he should be in WWE other than in the fucking Prem. But I think he's important to the team in the sense that he's one of those players that when he plays, he's just got a presence on the field. I think when he's on the pitch, the team feel more reassured than when he's not on the pitch. He's one of those players that might not be scoring many goals or assisting many goals, but I think all the work that he puts does really help the team, and I think he's very important to the squad overall.
Yeah, I think we'll have to agree to disagree. I think he shows just so much potential, and so much of it is wasted in my eyes. But that's how. Let's look at the Arsenal game quickly. So it's 2-0 Arsenal. Martinelli and Lacazette have been the goal scorers.
Hold on, Martinelli scored.
He scored, yeah. Martinelli scored the second.
This should be the final nail in the coffin for that dictator, Arteta. Dictator. if we're being real, this man is the Kim Jong-un of the Premier League. Get this man out of my club. Horrible coach, horrible manager. One of the worst I've seen. He's worse than Emery. I never thought I'd say that about anyone. Get this man out of my club. He is chosen week after week to start that Chelsea wanker. Willian ahead of Martinelli. One of us, a good kid. Energy, scores goals, talent, and he plays that. Willian, who's on bloated wages, came from Chelsea, got himself like a nice little agent deal. Listen, Arsene Wenger, if he was dead, he'll be spinning in his grave right now. I'm almost spinning in my grave, and I'm not even dead right now. Get this man out of my club. Sick of him. And I'll say this, and I've been talking to a few people about this as well. If Arteta is in charge next year, and it's more of the same, I'm going to retire. I'm going to retire from supporting this club. That's how
you still have a podcast to do, so don't worry about it.
That's fine. I'll be a neutral fan.
No, like just
Yeah.
support this club then.
Yeah, just put out. Just put
Hold
out easy.
Trade one hard take for another? No, thank you. I'm not gonna do that. I'll just retire gracefully and just step away from the scene because he's killed me. Absolutely killed
Right. So now let's tuck into why the big question. So why we're all here today, really, and the one question I've been really excited to get into. So I'm gonna divert to you, Holger, on the first round on this one because I think with it being your background, you know more about it, and you have just great experience. So we'll start there. But the question was, and I'll pose it to you again just so you're ready. It's who, in your opinion, are the top 5 players to move directly from the Bundesliga to the Premier League? Take it away.
You know what? This was probably one of the toughest questions that I've been asked in the last, I don't know, year or so. Because I had a list of around 10 to 15 people, and I've chosen my 5. Some of them might be controversial, but I'll just say them outright, and then we can discuss. So my number 5 is Per Mertesacker, who obviously initially played for Hanover, and that's where his career really started. Then he moved on to my Hamburg's arch enemy, Werder Bremen, which I absolutely hate. And then luckily he went to Arsenal and basically became an Arsenal legend. And I've got a lot of
fucking German.
yeah,
big fucking German.
I've got a lot of time for the guy, and yeah, I think he's just an absolute legend. So that was my number 5. Number 4, I'm gonna say it's Heung-min Son. I mean, he's just to give an example, the goal against Burnley, no one's ever gonna forget about it. That is just the pure example of his talent. And I've also got a soft spot for him because he obviously played for Hamburg back in the day before he moved to Leverkusen. And yeah, it really hurts to now think about it, that what sort of player he's become when he was already talented at Hamburg. My number 3, and this might be a controversial shout, but I think it's İlkay Gündoğan.
Oh yeah, okay. He's in my list.
I might be influenced by his recent form, but I mean, if you look at his season, this season, and even last season, I think he's an incredible player, and he's going to be so important for the German squad in the Euros. It's actually something that Ahmed and I discussed yesterday. So obviously he came from Dortmund, but not many people know that he used to play for Nuremberg before that. Actually for 3 years, and that's where his career really started off. Sorry, what was that, Ahmed?
That's a really great point, because I didn't know he came from Nuremberg. For me, he came from Dortmund, and he was brilliant there, and obviously got to the Champions League final, scored in that final, came to City, obviously.
Yeah, so he was in Hertha Berlin's youth, and then he moved to Nuremberg, then to Dortmund, and now obviously City. My number 2 is Kevin De Bruyne. I don't think I've got much to say. He's just incredible. I don't think I've ever seen a player that is so good at basically, how do you say it? Like, his vision is just incredible.
Yeah.
He could be looking that way, but he would still know that he's going to have to pass that way.
Yeah.
And the pass is going to be perfect. And he was so important to Wolfsburg back in the day. And yeah, no, he's just great. But my number 1, without a doubt, is Vincent Kompany.
Yeah, okay.
Once again, I might be biased here because he used to play for Hamburg. But I was thinking about it, and I watched the All or Nothing documentary on Amazon Prime about him, and I think.
Hold on. There's an All or Nothing documentary
on City.
City, not Hamburg.
On City. Yeah.
I saw the
Spurs
one, and that was fantastic.
There's one on Spurs, City, and
the City one is much better than the
Oh,
Spurs
I've seen the Spurs one. I've not seen the City one, but
the City one's good. Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's similar to what I just said about Traore. I think when Company was on the pitch as a fellow City player, you would have just felt comfortable and confident as well. And I mean, what was the season when he scored that absolute worldie that basically made them win the league or something?
Against Leicester.
Yeah.
What was that? The season before Liverpool won it. So that was
yeah.
When did you guys win it?
18, 19, 19,
Yeah.
20. Yeah, 18, 19.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's my top 5.
I mean, that is an incredible top 5. I think, yeah, it's fantastic. Let me jump in with mine if you don't mind, Ahmed.
Absolutely.
I think there are some players for me I really struggled to keep out of it. So players like Podolski, I didn't put in, but he's incredible to mention. Sane didn't make my list, nor did Son, nor did Schürrle, nor did Alexander Hleb. All these players who are still incredible.
Wow. Okay.
So I'll go the same order as Holger. So my number 5 was Edin Dzeko, because I think he was a stalwart of City and he scored so many goals. And I think people really undervalued how important his contribution was to City winning their first league and then just continuing that success. I think Dzeko was a bit of a hidden talent there. Yeah. My number 4 was Gundogan. So same as you, Holger. Slightly different order, but I went for him because I just think he's as a footballer, watching him play football is beautiful. He makes the game look so easy. He's so classy on the ball. And I think even recently he scored a goal. And when most players would have like slammed it or smashed it, he just passed into the goal. When you see that, you just think you're an elite player because you know that you can pass it at like 3 miles per hour rolling and it's going to go into the corner because you're just that kind of player. So for me, he was massive. My number 3 was Vincent Kompany. Again, similar to you, amazing player.
Number 3?
And number 3 was Vincent Kompany. Yeah, because he won that header against United alone should make him in the top 3, I think, because that was that when they won their first league and he scored the header to beat them 1-0. What a moment for a captain to do. My number 2 was Michael Ballack, because Ballack, I think, even though he didn't win the Champions League, he won everything with Chelsea. He was successful, and he come over as a bit more of an experienced player and actually helped a lot of their younger players as well. So I think his influence on that squad is just as important as how well he played in that team as well. And my number 1 was Kevin De Bruyne. And again, I don't really need to say it. Holger said it all, but there's nothing to really say about that guy. He's insanely good. And if you think about when he first came, he went to Chelsea, right? And his debut against Chelsea, some of the passes he played in that game were unbelievable. And Mourinho was not interested in him at all. It seemed pretty criminal to me. He come back and still was incredible. It just says everything about how much he grew as a player, his determination and his skill set. So that's my top 5. How about you?
I actually think, not to sound ridiculous, but if De Bruyne was to play with a blindfold, he would still be in the top 5% in the Prem. He's just incredible. That guy is just mental.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Ahmed?
Yeah. Here's my top 5. So 5th for me is Alex Hleb, who came over from Stuttgart. He came over when we were in our last season at Highbury, played in the Champions League final. And I'll say this, there are very few players who did on the ball what he did on the ball. One of the most skillful players I've ever seen in my life. And it was a joy watching him. I was more than happy. Listen, we know how much Emirates tickets cost. Going to the Arsenal is expensive, one of the most expensive in the world. But watching him being on the ball, worth every penny. Legendary footballer. Didn't win anything with us, but I respect him as a player. 4th, I would say, is my hero, the best centre-back we've had at our club in a long, long time. I'm including Koscielny in that. He was fantastic, impervious player. Per Mertesacker. Just to kind of give an example of Per Mertesacker's skill, quality, and value as a man, as a player. He, during the 2017 season, Chelsea ran away with the league that year. Barely lost anything, and they were on for the double. And they played our team, and we were in all sorts. We were in a really, really bad way. And this guy played centre-half alongside Rob Holding. By the way, he was a kid who came over from Bolton the year before. played centre half, hadn't kicked a ball in a year, by the way, and kept Diego Costa and Eden Hazard in his pocket. Legendary baller, World Cup winner. I love him more than anything. Now he's head of our academy. So brilliant player. I love him so much. For me, third is Edin Dzeko. Edin Dzeko came over from Wolfsburg, where he formed that formidable attack with Graffiti. Holger, you probably remember when he won the Bundesliga with Wolfsburg.
Yeah.
And him and Graffiti were that 4-4-2. They were brilliant, and yeah, really good player. Second for me is Oba. I mean, at the moment, Oba is struggling. He's not.
Can I just interject there?
Yes, mate, go for it.
Just with regards to putting Oba so high up the list, it seems to me now you say you have no Arsenal bias, but you've got 3 Arsenal players in your top 5. That's the first thing to know in this list, right? Let's have that straight for everyone that watches this podcast. The second thing I want to note is that Alba, compared to the impact of like Company, De Bruyne, even Podolski or Ballack.
I've not got to Company or Poldi yet.
Yeah, but you're on number.
Yeah, but you've only got one left.
One left.
Carol Vorderman, what are you guys? Count down.
yeah, we are.
Why are you clocking my numbers?
So you've only got one left. And Albert put himself high up the list. He's not broken any goal scoring records. He's won an FA Cup with you guys. You've not really won anything.
Okay.
Can you really say that he stands
comparatively
to those players? I don't think you can.
Yes, I can, and I'll tell you why.
Bias, it's Arsenal bias.
No, it's not. It's not. To be honest with you, Oba has one of the best goal to minutes scoring ratios of anyone in this league. He's up there with Aguero. One of the best. Look it up.
How many goals he scored? Like 50, 60? Aguero scored over 100.
Like 100 maybe. I don't know. He came in like January 2018, and his goal to minutes ratio is as good as anybody, up there with Aguero. So
okay, well, I don't think you can be in the top 5, but this is your list. So
listen. Thank God we live in a democracy. This is North Korea. So
United States of Cunnel, mate. No, go on.
If I lived in the USK, I'd seek asylum. Mate. That's for damn sure. So yeah, Oba for his absolute goal scoring record and the fact that he led us to a trophy in the FA Cup. Last season. Let's not forget it. Man City, Chelsea. He was our best player, and he's been our best player for a long time. But he's really struggling at the moment. But my number one, and honestly, it's Vincent Kompany. Vincent Kompany came over from Hamburg. Holger, I'm sure you love that. I saw him play against us at the Emirates. He was brilliant. A leader, a captain, a skipper, chip in with a goal. I've never seen a more complete, centre back as him. He is just a legend and won several league titles with City. And for me, their luck changed when they bought him. They bought him. They also bought Nigel de Jong, by the way, if I remember.
They did. Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Once again, Hamburg player.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They bought Vincent Kompany, Nigel de Jong. Obviously, Nigel de Jong lasted a couple of seasons when when he wasn't fly kicking Xabi Alonso in the test. But Vincent Kompany is nobody's touching him. Leader, a legend, and I would die to have someone like that at our club.
Can I just add to that, just to come back to the All or Nothing documentary? If when you watch that, you will also see what a down to earth person he is. He is so connected to his community and his family. When was it? I can't remember when it was filmed, but he couldn't play the last game of the season, and he had to watch the City game at home with his family. And it's just so wholesome to watch that scene when he basically celebrates winning the title at home with his family in this little, 2-bedroom house. It's just I can thoroughly recommend it. And Kompany is just an absolute legend.
He's from Belgium, right?
He's Belgium. Yeah, Belgian captain, isn't he? Okay. Well, ex-Belgium captain. Right. Well, Arsenal finished the game 3-0, by the way. Lacazette got 2. Martinelli got 1. So, before we leave you this week, can I just say also, whilst we wrap up the section for who was the best player to move from Germany to the Premier, I'd like to say that Ahmed, your opinions were dead in that. Holger, really, really glad you come on the show to give an insightful opinion, because we didn't get one from Ahmed today. So thank you for that. That's the first thing. Didn't need 3 Arsenal players on the list. What's the point? No point in me in it. But that's fine. But thank you, Holger, for joining for that. Now let's look at the predictions for next week. So there are actually games all throughout the week as well. So we're going to leave them out, because there's games on like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we'll just look at the weekend games. We'll start with Everton Spurs. Again, a massive one for that top 4 race. Well, even though Spurs are out of form.
Everton Spurs.
Everton have got a game in hand against a lot of clubs, and I think they're 3 points behind. So let's not forget that. So, Ahmed, do you want to kick that one off? How do you see that one going?
Is it Goodison? I think
Is it Goodison? Yes, it's Goodison, yeah.
I think it'll be a draw. I'm going to go 1-1. I think Everton have been a bit dodgy at home, and I think Spurs will have some kind of reaction to their defeat today, but I think Everton will have enough quality. I wouldn't be surprised if it's an Everton win, but I'm going to go with my head here and say 1-1.
Okay. For me, that is a 2-1 to Everton. Holger?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Everton's gonna get it, because they've had the rest, and yeah, I just also think that Everton has been playing really well this season, and Spurs is just really struggling at the moment. So I go Everton win. Let's call it a 3-1.
Okay.
I
will just say this in favour of Spurs for this week, even though I do think it'll be 2-1 Everton anyway. So Everton have been like Liverpool. Their home forms have been terrible, like really, really, really poor this year.
So, Everton?
Yeah, Everton. I think
it's been good.
The first time was a local club had won on Merseyside in 2021 was only like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, because both Liverpool and Everton have been terrible at home. But next one is Newcastle West Ham. So massive for top 4, massive for the bottom 3. Now it's at Newcastle. I think the Hammers will be too strong. I'm going to say 3-1 Hammers in that one. Holger?
I'm going to say 2-1 win for the Hammers. I reckon Lingard is going to score again. 2-1 win for West Ham.
Ahmed?
I'm going to go 3-0 West Ham. I think they have momentum. They're really good. I think Newcastle struggling. 3-0 West Ham. Like Holger, Lingard to score.
Yeah, okay. Next one is Southampton Palace. Much for muchness, kind of a nothing game, really. Southampton picked up a little bit of form. I'm going to say 2-0 Southampton. Ahmed, do you want to jump in on that one?
This really is a tough one. I'm going to go 2-1 Palace. I think Eze will get the winner. I really like him. I think he's a really, really good player. You know me, how I feel about kind of young English flair players. So I think Eze will get the winner. I think it'll be tough for Palace, but I think they'll just sneak it. 2-1 to Palace.
Okay, Holger?
I reckon it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I think they're so close to each other in the league, but also given the current form, I think that Palace is going to go up, and Danny Ings is going to score. I don't know, like towards the end of the game. I reckon, 1-1.
All right. Wolves Sheffield United's the next one. Now, Wolves at home, Sheffield United's done. I'm going to say a boring 0-0 in that game. Holger?
Well, I reckon it's going to be a hat-trick for Traore.
You better have money on that.
I'll put a bet on that right now for you.
You'd be a millionaire, mate.
No, I agree. I think it's going to be a very boring game, something that is not worth watching. But I think Wolves are going to nick it. No.
Ahmed?
I agree with Holger. I think it'd be Wolves 1-0. I'm going to go Pedro Neto. If he's fit. 1-0 Wolves, very scrappy, boring game.
Arsenal Fulham, next one. Arsenal at home. I'm just going to say 2-0 Arsenal. 2-1 Arsenal, because I think Fulham will get a goal. 2-1. Ahmed?
I think Fulham will definitely score at least one, but I think their defense is quite leaky, so 2-1 Arsenal. But it'll be a closer game than people think.
Yeah. Holger?
Completely agree. I think it's going to be a very close game. But But I've got a feeling that Fulham will need a reaction from what happened this weekend. So I think they're going to put everything into it, and I can see a 1-1 draw.
Take off that shirt, bro.
The next one's Man United Burnley. Man United at home. I'm going for a 2-0 United win. Comfortable United win there. Olga?
Yeah, I agree. I reckon 2 or 3-0 United.
Ahmed?
Sorry, Holger, you're going to say?
Is the rematch like the second leg of the Europe League? Is it this week or is it the week after?
Yes, this week. Yeah.
They've got Granada.
But to be fair, they played Europe League this week and they still secured that interesting victory away at Spurs. So let's say 2-0 United.
Cool. I'm going to go 3-0 United. I think Cavani, Bruno penalty as always, and Mason Greenwood for a goal. So I think United very comfortable. They're going to win 3-0.
Next one is Leeds Liverpool. Leeds are at home. Tough game. I think Liverpool have been better away from home than they have been at home. Form's picked up enough in the Prem for us to win that. I'm going to say 2-1. 2-1 Liverpool.
2-1 Liverpool.
Yeah.
Okay. Holger?
Oh, I think out of all of the games, that's the toughest and the closest.
Tough ones are cool.
I'm gonna say 2-2. I don't think Liverpool's gonna nick it. I'm sorry, Kunal, but I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna say 2-2.
Fair enough. Ahmed.
This, like Holger said, this is a very tough one to call. My head says 1-1. My head says 1-1, but I think my heart says Liverpool will nick it. But my official prediction is 1-1.
Okay, and the last game. So Chelsea, Brighton. I love Brighton, and we all know this. We've hyped Brighton all the time, but I think Chelsea should be too strong. So I'm going to say 2-1 Chelsea in that game. Holger?
I'm going to say 3-0 Chelsea. They were so impressive away at Palace, and I think now that Havertz has scored his first goal in a long time, I think that's going to give him a lot of confidence. I reckon he's going to score 1 or 2, 3-0 Chelsea.
I think 3-1 Chelsea. I think Brighton will score. I think they're quite good going forward, but I think, like Holger said, I think Chelsea are far too strong. So 3-1 Chelsea for me.
Okay, and that's the end of this week's show. So thank you everyone for joining us, especially Holger. Thank you very much for being a guest, mate. It was a pleasure to have you on. Next week we'll be having another call-in show. We'll be looking at the weekend's results again. We may even throw in an interesting question, seeing how we're feeling. Holger, like I said, it was lovely to have you on. Thank you very much for joining us.
I was honestly, I couldn't agree with you more, Kunal. I think episode 7 has been an absolute triumph. Having you on, Holger, has been a pleasure. Having someone as knowledgeable about the Prem and the Bundesliga is always a delight. So Kunal and I would love to have you on at any point. So I think next week, Kunal, correct me if I'm wrong, we have a few call-ins.
We do. Another call-in show, yes.
What's the number? Because I'm definitely going to call in.
We'll send you the number. That's fine. We'll send you the number next week. Feel free to call in.
And I'm sure you have a great question for us. So really, really excited. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun recording this today, and thank you for sparing your time on a Sunday night. I really appreciate it.
Oh no, it's absolutely fine, lads. Thank you very much for having me. I think this is a great podcast that everybody should follow, and it's just nice to hear that people outside of Germany are also interested in the Bundesliga. So no, thank you very much, and I'll speak to you on the phone next week.
Our absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Take care. See you next week. Bye.